Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I want all the yellows to give yourself a hand for just getting up and getting here. Yep. And all the blues to give yourself a hand for getting here on time. And if you're blue, we will finish promptly at 11:30 because I know that's what you want to know. And all the reds, yes, you are going to learn something and no, you are not in charge. And greens, I'm so sorry you had to talk to anybody. So we're so glad. We're so glad that you're here. I was first introduced to this content about a year and a half ago. Sandra and I are foster parents, and we attended a training for foster parents, and Kathleen was doing the training, and it was mind-boggling, and she was talking specifically through the filter of being a parent, and Sandra and I have said 100 times since then, we wish we had had this content when we were raising our kids. We did pretty good, but they're all in their 20s, and they love each other, and they love to be with us, but we would have been much better parents. We've said that over and over and over, and we say to parents all the time, really, if you still got kids at home, this content's gonna be so incredibly helpful to you. Then, we're empty nesters, and so we're in a small group that meets every week with some other empty nesters, our community group, and we just went through the curriculum again with them. And again, processing that in this season of life, it's been extremely, extremely helpful. And then our third round with this was really interesting. 3 weeks ago, we were at Hilton Head with Sandra's extended family. There were 20 of us that ranged from 11 to 82. Yes, oh wow. 11 to 82. This is our 26th year in a row to go on vacation together. So we have a very unique, wonderful family, yes. So we always try to do some kind of fun activity, and Sandra decided our fun activity was we were gonna watch one of the sessions from this curriculum that you're gonna be exposed to. That was our fun activity, yes. And some people are like, oh no, and do I have to? So all of us sat down and watched session 2, and then we all got workbooks, and we all figured out our color. And even as a family, in terms of the family dynamic, it was so extremely, extremely helpful because as you're about to discover, Kathleen has done a fantastic job putting the rungs low on the ladder for people who are new to this material. And for those of you who may be familiar with the material or may be familiar with this material under a different name or under a different banner, you're gonna find handles you never knew existed for home, for work, specifically for family, for best friends, for people that you wanna be your friends, for people that you don't really want them to be your friends. There is handles for everybody. So you're gonna have a fantastic time. We are so glad that you're here.
Ben, you forgot to bring the trash can up again.
Oh, sorry. I was just
I don't see why it's so hard for you to remember. You have to bring it up every single Tuesday. What, did you walk right past it? Come on, you don't even have that many. What is this?
I was just drawing something.
Well, clean it up.
I will.
No, don't just say you're gonna clean it up. Do it.
Let me just finish. Wait, that's my color.
You can draw when you're finished with your chores. Right now, it's not time to play. It's time to work. Do what I asked you to do first. Come on. Listen. There's no need to cry. All right? There's just a right way to do things. Now, do you want to do things your way, or do you want to do things the right way?
The right way, I guess.
All right. Now get this cleaned up. Now.
Hey, are you all done? What's wrong? Did he show you the comic book he was making you for your birthday? I think it was supposed to be a surprise.
Well, he knows he's supposed to do his chores first.
Oh, Dad, do you want to play my game?
I just have so much work to do right now, bud. I just really don't have time to play chess, okay?
It will only take 5 minutes, come on.
I know chess. A good game can go on for hours.
No, it's not chess. I completely made up my own rules, come on.
Why would you want to make up your own rules? I mean, chess is a great game. Look, the instructions are right here. Just look at that. Get you there.
No, but Dad, I made up the entire game from scratch. Just let me show you how to play, okay?
Look, chess has been around for 1,000 years, okay? Now there's a strategy and order. Changing the rules defeats the whole purpose of the game. Look, I'm gonna show you how to play really quickly, but then I have to work, okay? All right, first of all, you'll need
Wait,
these.
what are you doing with those? No, don't throw them away.
It's just a bunch of paper, bud. You need to learn how to play the real game.
Oh, and those? Are you kidding me?
Let's see. These aren't set up right.
And I worked on those. And that was so hard.
Look, this is a rook, okay? It moves forward or backward, but never diagonal. Are you listening?
This isn't. This isn't very fun.
Well, we haven't even started yet.
I know, it's just that regular chess, it's so boring, and I liked my way better, okay?
Well, you can't just make up your own rules. I mean, there's just a right way to do things in a right order. Now, do you want to do things your way or the right way?
The right way, I guess. You know, my way seems to be right to me.
All right, now this is called a knight. Now, with the,
Grab your stuff. We don't want to be late.
what, you're leaving already?
Yeah, I've got to do summer camp. We've got an hour's drive ahead of us. How many times did you get to play his game? Isn't it so much fun? He's been working all day on it. Okay, say goodbye.
Bye, bud.
Wow. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that and it still gets to me. Power of words. Words are powerful. Probably when you were watching the video, you were thinking back to a time when maybe you were a child or a teenager, or maybe even an adult, where words were spoken over you that stuck. Maybe they were bad, maybe they were good. I know I do. And because of that, there's one verse that's become my passion, my family verse, my work. Words have always been important to me, and I can remember thinking back to a time when I was maybe 8 or 9 and watching people talk to each other. And was it kind or unkind? See, it sticks with you, and you may be carrying it through life with you. Now, when I was in my early 20s, I'm moving from California to Maryland, and I listened to these, if you don't know what cassette tapes are, that may be giving away my age, but they were cassette tapes, so you know what the relationship between a cassette tape and a pencil is. If you do, then you know my age. The tapes were on temperament, and it changed my life. At that moment, I realized that I had to learn everything I could about temperament and communication and how they affected each other. And that has been my life's mission, is for people to speak kindly. To each person in there, that you can become the very best authentic version of yourself. See, if you were thinking back during that video and you were relating to something that was said or done, did the words you remember build you up, or did they tear you down? And like I said earlier, are you carrying them through life with you? See, we have to ask ourselves, who talks to us the most? We do, right? We could spend this whole time together this morning talking about self-talk. We have to remember that words become thoughts and thoughts become action. So my work is understanding temperaments through the framework of applying a verse, Ephesians 4:29. And it says this: do not let any unwholesome words come out of your mouth, only what is helpful to build others up according to their needs and benefit all who listen. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at this and we're going to see that Paul asked us to think. Apostle Paul said, think about your words. Then he's also giving us a clue here that our words are weighted differently for different people according to their needs. What we're going to talk about today is what I've spent 25 plus years coaching individuals, families, spouses, coworkers. And I've experienced firsthand how impactful this information can be. And even on a high level, you're going to take away things today that are going to make a difference. So what we want to do today is we want to start talking about temperament in Ephesians 4:29. But what I have to clarify first, foundationally, is that temperament is not personality. Temperament is eye color, hair color, fingerprint. It is innate. You are born with it. These are things that God has designed you with since before you even walked. Then there's personality. Personality is culture, religion, life experience, birth order. So what we really want to understand here is, because we're going to be talking today about temperament, we have to understand that personality is the what, where temperament is the why. Temperament is the why behind the what's that we experience. Now, the concept of the temperaments has been around for thousands of years. There's documentation going back as far as Hippocrates. And because it's Hippocrates and it's thousands of years ago, we're going to talk about the temperaments, but we're not going to use the Greek names. The Greek names can be a mouthful. So we've matched them with colors so that it's a little bit easier to understand. But you're going to see the Greek names because I would like you to know where they originate from. So we have the yellow, sanguine, the red, choleric, the blue is melancholic, and the green is phlegmatic. What we want to understand about this may sound simple at first, but it's so just the foundation and the fundamental base that we have to build upon is so critically important. So let's talk about these a little bit. The top two, the sanguines and the cholerics, they are extroverts. So our first thing we want to know is extrovert does not mean that we like to be around a lot of people. What in communication it truly means is your thoughts and emotions go outward. These people have no filter. They just, blah, and then they're the ones going, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or they just needed to know. And they might even use that finger to say it. They just needed to know. It's just out before they can even hits their brain sometimes. So these people talk before they think. The blues and the greens, they are introverts. So they are processors. This would be me. If you were today to ask me after this, hey, Kathleen, would you like to go to lunch? It's going to look something like this. Where are we going? Who's going? When will we be back? I have a 1 o'clock appointment. I'm going to process through it, and then I'm going to give you an answer. So hence, the blues and the greens, we think before we talk. So this is very important because it's starting to set the stage of the differences between the people in the four temperaments we're talking about. Now, you have the bottom and the top and the bottom. Now we're going to go side to side. The reds and the blues in the temperaments are task-oriented people. They will pick a task over a person every day of the week. The reds are motivated by goals and ideas. They seek objectivity and clarity in situations and decisions, rather than being concerned about how somebody feels about something or is affected by it. So the task people, when faced with a choice of being truthful or tactful, they're going to pick truth every single time. The yellows and the greens are people-oriented. They're going to pick people over tasks. These are people who want harmony in relationships. They do take others' needs and feelings into account. They have a natural desire to please and build relationships. They put a very high priority on getting along, so much so that they're the first to be cooperative or adaptable. They really just want everybody to be happy. Why is that important to have this foundation that we're building on? Because what happens when you don't understand that foundation is these very kind green people fall through the cracks, because this is an introvert that likes to be around people. They may be quiet, but they love to be part of the group. Then you have the reds, who are extroverts, that are task-oriented. They even want to know themselves so much that maybe they're treating people like tasks, right? So you have the introvert and the extrovert. You have the people versus task. And when you do a temperament assessment, you're going to have a dominant and a secondary. Now, when you do the assessment, it's going to be horizontal or vertical, usually never diagonal. So if you've done that before and you're already going, oh no, I'm diagonal, I'm sure I'm yellow, blue. Let's not panic yet. Let's keep going through and see if it doesn't kind of work itself out. But if it doesn't, Jenny will have cards for my office number. So we'll deal on that on the side. But what I want you to know as you're thinking about these and you're hearing these descriptions, I want you to start thinking, yes, I connect with that, or yes, that's where I feel comfortable. What happens usually, especially in a group this size, I see a lot of elbowing. Yeah, that's you, losing your temper, that's you, no sense of urgency. So we want to kind of watch our elbows at the beginning and then maybe save the elbows for later in the morning. But what I want you to know too is each temperament has something that's very unique and wired to that temperament. And so as I go through these, think about, does this sound like me? Because this is what's so beautiful about each temperament. The yellows, what they are and so uniquely wired is to be in the moment. These people see the best in people first. The best in people and the best in circumstances first. The reds, this is a visionary. This person can throw a net and see a vision so clear as can be. That's what they own that no other temperament can do. The blues, what's unique to the blues, and you're going to find out I happen to be a blue. In fact, I'm probably a navy blue. And what I hear a lot is, oh my gosh, you're pointing out the negatives. And then the blue, if you're blue in here, you know exactly what I'm saying. Why are you always pointing out the negatives and the problems? I have reworded that to say that the blues are uniquely designed to anticipate obstacles. So we are uniquely designed to anticipate all obstacles. So when you have a friend or a work colleague that's a red that sees from A to B so clearly and they're focused on B, it would behoove those two people to become very good friends, because I'm going to see every obstacle from A to B. And if we work together, we're going to be victorious. And that's part of understanding the temperaments, is leaning into the strengths of somebody who's not wired like you. So blues, we anticipate the obstacles. What's unique to the beautiful green temperament, and no other temperament does this, they are the calm in the midst of chaos. This is a person that is so calm, they're just never real. I'm married to this person, and then once in a while there's a blip, but in 31 years, not many blips. But if this building happened to be on fire, we would want to be behind the reds because they would save our lives. But it would be the greens that would be coming up alongside us saying, you're going to be okay. We'll be fine. We'll get out of this okay. So remember, each temperament has their own unique wiring that no other temperament has. Especially in communication, a good way to think about your temperament is it's like your first language. It's how you naturally respond, what comes naturally to you. So I know we've just talked a little bit, we're just tipping at the iceberg edge, but I would hope you're starting to get a feel. But if not, I want you to watch this short video and see if this doesn't help you start to solidify a little bit more your temperament. Do we know more? Are we getting closer? I need some yellows to design some kind of dance. So, yeah, so we can get up during the thing and, dance a little bit, because I see a lot of heads and feet, and that's going to be one of those tunes you're not going to forget all day. I'm sure of it. So where are the yellows? Where do we think the yellows? Good response. They're all up at the front. Yeah, I like it. I like it. What about the reds? Good. I'm surprised y'all aren't up at the front making sure I'm doing it right. So, where's my fellow blues? Oh, they tried. That's good. You tried. That was beautiful. I loved that. Don't worry, nobody's going to turn and look at you. That's okay. Now, the cameras are back there. Stay this way. Stay this way. Greens. Wow, nice for a green. Yeah, usually you're like, it's me, but you are good. Good. What's fascinating to me after doing this for so long, like 3 decades, it doesn't matter the size of the group. It seems to always be just so evenly paced out between the temperaments, which makes it a lot of fun. But what happens right now, what's the most common experience right now is some pushback. Some pushback at being labeled or being put in a box. And that's not what this is. There's only really one temperament that says, don't put me in a box, reds. So they don't like to be told what to do. But that's not what this is. This is your core wiring. This is your unique design by God. This is how you naturally respond to different situations. It's just a better way to communicate and to understand communication. We want to understand today that different temperaments speak different languages. What we do also have to make the disclaimer of is that there's no temperament that's better than another. This is really where cholerics or reds will come in my office and argue with me about being red. Or I'll have, the blues and greens coming in wishing they were yellow until they find out what it's like really to be a yellow, right? So what we want to understand too when we're talking about the temperaments is Jesus was the strengths of all of them. And he was perfect, but we are imperfect. So we really have to take the steps to find out, how do I become the best version of me authentically? Well, each temperament is hardwired with a whole list of strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to talk about them. But why weaknesses? Everybody's like, why weaknesses? When I talk to children, I only talk strengths at the beginning. But with adults, like you all sitting here, I'm going to talk weaknesses. Because God was very intentional. We know it's light in here because we know dark. We know loud because we know quiet. In order for us to really grasp and understand our strengths, we have to know our weaknesses. So it's not where we want to function in our weaknesses, where we would do in the flesh, but we want to know they're there so we can choose a strength. See, this is really an important point because you saw in the videos some of the strengths. Reds are dynamic leaders. Yellows are enthusiastic. Blues are analytical and compassionate. Greens are patient. But I really want, because this is such an important point, to go over these a little bit more thoroughly. So let's look at the yellows. Everybody goes, why do you start with the yellows? Well, it's not because they want attention and affection and approval, but because they want attention and affection, we start with them. So we're starting with the yellows. Some of the strengths of these yellows are they're joyful, they're encouraging, they're affectionate. Again, they're popular, they're in the moment, they talk in stories, they think in stories, they're curious. But how do they know all that? Because they have a set of weaknesses. They can also be compulsive talkers. They can elaborate and exaggerate. They hate to be alone. They interrupt. And I say that because I'm a blue. They interrupt, and they can be scatterbrained. The reds, this is a person who's decisive. They excel in emergencies. They delegate well. They're self-directed. They're confident and driven people. How do they know that? Because they can be bossy. They can be impatient, quick-tempered, arrogant. They dislike tears and emotions. Again, we want to know one to know the other, and you want to know, where am I functioning right now? What do I struggle with the most? The blues, this is a person that's analytical and a perfectionist, creative, musical, artistic. They can also be moody, critical, withdrawn, skeptical, judgmental, right? Insecure socially. I'm sure every blue in here can tell you that through our lifetime, most blues feel odd. We feel like a square peg going into a round hole. And that's, now you know, I'm standing on stage and saying that, you're not alone. We all feel that way sometimes. The greens, this is an innately kind person. They're diplomatic, they're even-tempered, they're patient, they're tolerant, they're great mediators. But they can also be unenthusiastic, indecisive, have no sense of urgency, and resist change. This is actually the most stubborn and strong-willed temperament out of the four. They out-stubborn and out-strong-willed the reds, hands down, right? So what we want to be careful at this point right now, this is what happens a lot too, and I want to warn you not to do this. We are not talking about temperaments, putting them in descriptive words. This is not my teaching, and this is not where I want you going with this. I don't want you to think, oh, Andy's a good leader, he's red. Jenny's so funny, she's yellow. Oh, Susie's kind, she's green. That's not what temperaments is about. Temperaments is understanding that in your strengths, all the temperaments can be funny. All the temperaments can be good leaders. All the temperaments can be kind. But it's identifying where we're stuck and where we're going, but we're not descriptive words. We want to stay in our strengths. What I also want to put a little warning here is, as we go through here, is we also do not use our temperament as an excuse or as a weapon. Oh, that's just the way I am. You just have to deal with it. Kathleen said, that's how God wired me. Okay, don't throw me under the bus, right? Don't throw me under the bus, because I'm giving you an activity right now that's in the I Said This, You Heard That workbook that I love, that I actually use in my office. And I see some of the people in the audience that come and see me in my office, and they know I use this in my office, right? My yellow over there, friend? What it looks like is this. I have a tendency to, but I'm going to choose. See, this is crucial right now, because it's not one for one, but you have to understand that your life is a series of choices and circumstances. That's what it is. And if you sit over here in your strengths or your weaknesses, in your flesh, most likely that situation or that circumstance is going to control you. But if you can do this activity and you can get over here in your strengths, the same circumstances of life are going to come in. We're going to lose jobs, get jobs, have kids, lose kids, sickness, health. They're all going to come in. But if you're sitting over here where the Holy Spirit is, in your strengths, you will maneuver through the circumstances. But it's a choice. It really is very important that we understand that as the circumstances come in, we want to pause for a minute. We want to pause and think of ourselves and think what the situation or the circumstance is requiring from me. So for myself, it might look like this. I have a tendency to remember the negatives, but I'm going to choose to be thoughtful. That very same afternoon, something might come up and I'm still choosing to remember the negatives, but I'm going to choose to be analytical. It's whatever the circumstance or situation requires of me. Maybe I'm a red. I have a tendency to be bossy, but I'm going to choose to delegate well. Or I'm a yellow. I have a tendency to interrupt, but I'm going to choose to show curiosity. I'm a green. Then I have a tendency to be unenthusiastic, but I'm going to choose to ask questions. This is a very great activity once you've identified the weaknesses you're stuck in to move you to your strengths. Because in a little bit, we're going to understand why we're even choosing those weaknesses. We're trying to fill something, but I would love you to learn to fill them in your strengths. The one thing that we have to understand too is there's one thing that every single temperament shares, and that's selfishness. We have to learn to get out of our own way. So today we're collectively learning together, hopefully, to move from selfishness to servitude. Selfishness to servitude. So once we do that, we're going to understand that, I'm starting to watch people and I'm starting to notice that temperament dictates the phrases and the words that you use. Literally, each temperament talks and has common phrases that they use. So the sanguines, for example, or the yellows, they often speak with animated, fun, exaggerated, people-oriented words. If they're asked to go to lunch, there's not where are you going? There's who's going. Who's going to be there? Right? Who might I see? Right? So they'll say things like, that sounds fun. Come join in. Oh, I totally forgot. They're going to say things like this, where the reds are going to talk and speak more often with bold, bossy, confident, or controlling words. So their words, when you start listening, they're going to say things like, I'll do it. Hurry up. Follow my lead. They're almost like little just statements like that, just like they don't waste any air when they talk. It's just out, right? Just condense it. So that's how they talk. It's condensed. The blues will talk more detailed and analytical with compassionate and sometimes very creative words. They're going to be very thoughtful as well in their words. I've been giving it some thought. That's what the blues, I probably say this all the time. I don't trust him or her. Like it could be a stranger that's walking towards me and I'll say to my mom, I don't trust them, right? They're walking way too close to me right now. Are you sure that's safe? Again, as you start listening, you're going to realize that we use words right out of our wiring. So the green will often speak easygoing, patient, kind words. They'll say things like this, no big deal. I'm good with whatever. Can it wait till tomorrow? Because why do it today? Right? Why do it today when it can wait till tomorrow? It's like kind of your motto, right? Right? There's no urgency, right? The trash doesn't come till 11 and it's only 10:30, right? Right? So I can give you firsthand how this can look, though, because I have two children. I have a son and a daughter. My son skipped 5th grade into my daughter's grade. So from the 6th grade on, they've been in the same grade. So Avery is a senior at UGA, and Bryce is a senior at Georgia Tech. So I can clap for both, right, depending on the day. But Bryce was over in Ireland, and he was studying abroad. And he was so kind for his blue mother to keep in touch with me to know that he was okay. So he sent our family this text. Tour was awesome. Also talked to somebody from the UK the whole time. It was so really interesting. Just got back on the bus to Limerick, safe and sound. Now that is a very blue statement, but blues, how often do we ever put anything in caps? I mean, that tour must have been like a really good tour, right? Because he also put an exclamation point, which, again, we just don't do. But it was very interesting, and look, he's back in Limerick, safe and sound, so mama's heart is good. My daughter, who's yellow, sends this. Yay! 2 exclamation points. I'm so thrilled to hear that, and so cool that you got to talk to somebody from the UK. I'm glad you're back safe and had fun. There it is. First of all, I don't see anything in here that Bryce said he had fun. He said it was interesting. And then 2 emojis. Like only 2 emojis, but the 2 emojis, heart and a poo, you know, that must have been so fun. You talked to somebody the whole time. She doesn't even mention the tour, right? But here's how the temperaments talk. 1 minute later, Bryce sends this. Oh no, somebody sat next to me on the bus. The whole trip is ruined. This is a real conversation. Now we're really gonna see that temperaments speak right out of their colors. But I don't wanna leave you red and greens out. So I actually had sent to me some coworkers that had an exchange that I think illustrates red and green perfectly, but let's see what you guys think. Jessica, who's a friend of mine, Jessica is red. I don't even think Jessica has another color. I think Jessica is red, and if it's anything, it's like a splash of something, but this girl is red. And she says to her friend, Christy, who's very green, coworker, she says, I'm stopping for coffee before the meeting. Do you want something? Okay, you reds know what you already want the answer to be, right? Here's Christy's response. 2 minutes later, she's processing. What do I want? I'm not sure. So how do you think what do you think Jessica's doing right now? This. Hello? I'm in the drive-thru, right? Cholerics, is the hair starting to go up on the back of your neck yet? So then what does Christy do? I'm thinking about it. I'm processing it. I'm kind of indecisive, right? Greens, you're pressured. You know Jessica, so you know she wants an answer. So you're feeling the pressure right now. So this is what happens. Christy says, okay, maybe a vanilla iced latte question mark, or if that's too tricky, just black coffee's fine. Or if you're already on your way back, don't worry about it. I'm good with whatever. Like, just bring me a bottled water. Like, I'm good. So, which one? I'm surprised that was not in all caps. Which one? Look, you have 10 seconds to decide. It's like, right? Make a decision. Christy. Oh my gosh, Reds, what is Jessica doing right now? She is like revving that Odyssey in that drive-thru, like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill this woman, I'm just gonna get, and then Christy says, iced Americano with cream and sugar. Oh, here's Jessica. Huge eye roll. I'm surprised this is all she put. Just a huge eye roll. But see, temperaments speak their languages. You cannot change them. But I'm gonna, so that we get a real grip on this, I'm gonna invite Jenny back up to stage because we have a game to play to see how much you're connecting with some of these colors.
So So good. Thank
Yeah.
you. All right. So I know this is new to a lot of you, so we thought we're gonna play just a little game. You guys can stay at your seats. You don't have to get up. Blues, those of you that are like, a game, oh my gosh, of course they're doing a game. I'm yellow, so yeah, man, we're doing a game, okay? So I'm gonna put some scenarios up on the screen, and you just read it. We're gonna read them through, and then you in your head are gonna think which one you are, or maybe you can start to identify the colors, okay? So this won't be very long. So here we go. First question up. All right, so when composing an email to a coworker, you skip the salutation and get to the point. You reference something personal first. How's your mom doing since the last time we spoke? Are thorough, accurate, and read it 3 times before hitting send. And use exclamation points. Good morning, happy Monday. What do we think? Where are you guys? What do you think number 1 is? Let's go ahead and start revealing the answers. So we've got red, reference something personal first. Yes, our green, so kind. You can go a little faster. Let's go our thorough, melancholy, and the yellow. Do you guys do good? So that's how it's gonna go. We're gonna move a little faster, and then you guys just holler them out. Okay, next question, here we go. You grab a quick dinner at the drive-thru only to find out once you're home that they messed up your order. You think, oh, I've been meaning to try this new burger. Happy accident. Why can't they get a simple order right? It's fine, I'm not picky. Or figures, my order always comes out wrong. What do we think? Here we go, let's reveal. Yellow. Did you guys get it? Are you catching it? All right, let's do a couple more maybe. All right, here we go, next one. You've been invited to a wedding. Your first thought is dancing, buffet, and small talk. No thanks. I wonder if any of our old friends will be there. Sure, if you want to go, I'll go with you. There are 101 things I would rather do than go to this wedding. What do we think? Let's reveal. See, you guys are starting to get this and identifying. All right, you wanna do one more? All right, let's do one more. Okay, you find yourself 62 cars back in the carpool line to pick up your child after school. You call your friend and make plans for later in the week. Sit back, relax, and listen to your favorite podcast. Draft an email to the principal with suggestions for making the carpool line more efficient, right? Or turn on your hotspot and knock out 15 minutes of work. This one's a little bit trickier, so let's reveal. So the friend making plans, yep, you got the yellow, phlegmatic, melancholy. Now you're right, some of those can be switched up, so that's good. You guys have it? All right, next we're gonna do one more, and then you're gonna scream out which one it is, and we're gonna see if the whole audience has got it. All right, last one. On a conference call, you put the phone on mute and let everyone else do the talking. Take the lead, hoping you'll get through the agenda faster. Red, suggest a Skype call instead. It's so much better when you can see everyone's face. Criticize others' comments in your head, but say nothing. You guys got it. Here we go. You got it. Good job, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Way to go. All right, so I'm gonna invite Kathleen back up, and she's gonna do the second part, and then after that, we're gonna get a chance to have some Q&A. So welcome, Kathleen, back to the stage.
Well, hey, okay. Why we made this little break in between, because I really wanted to make sure you were identifying and understanding the temperaments well, because the next part is really key. The next part is probably the most important part of what I teach and coach. It separates me from personality and temperament. It separates the two. It's what makes this completely different. And when you understand this, this is when the aha moments are really gonna go off in your relationships. So temperaments dictate the words that you need to hear to fill what's called innate needs. These needs are like food and water. This is the game changer that happens in my office. This will change how you communicate, and it will be life impacting. So understanding these are key and critical. So these are the innate needs of the colored and the temperaments. The yellow is approval, acceptance, attention, and affection. The red is loyalty, sense of control, appreciation, and credit for work. The green is harmony, worthiness, lack of stress, and respect. And the melancholic is safety, sensitivity, support, and space and silence. So these words are not on here willy-nilly. They're very thought out and years of experimenting and connecting with the colored temperaments. So as you're going through today, if anything hasn't connected up until this point, I would hope that one of these innate needs would just innately connect with you as you're reading them. But we want to go even deeper. I've collected over the years different definitions, and the definitions are so incredibly important and crucial. But let me say this, you are going to have your own definition of what each one of these means to you. But to kick you off or get you started so that you can kind of get an idea of yourself and others, I've put together the definitions that I hear the most in my office, and I want to share those with you. So the first is the yellow. The first one is approval, being liked for who they are without needing to change. The second one would be acceptance, being invited or included. The third is attention, having your full focus, especially eye contact. So if you were even to think about this attention in your marriage, you know, our first thought for yellows, and yellows can back me up if you can, that most people think attention means they want to be center stage. They want to be the one that everybody's looking at. But the yellows, I think even this room, that is not what I hear most, right, in my office. But I hear this, having your full attention and focus, especially eye contact. So if you have a husband that's in sales and he comes home every day and he always has a funny story he wants to tell you or a story about what happened, now you know that putting whatever you're doing down, giving them eye contact and full focus is going to love that person better. It's going to fill this innate need of attention. And we have a choice to do that. The last one would be affection, being noticed or acknowledged. Again, when we think of affection, we know where we go, but they're just saying, look across the room and know that I'm here, or put your hand on my hand, just being noticed or acknowledged. Okay, for the reds, the first one is loyalty, being prioritized, knowing that you have their back. This is so important to a red. If you are a red right out there, loyalty is huge. The one that I hear the most, get most confusion, and I want to talk a little bit about, though, is sense of control. All reds, everybody thinks the reds want to be in control of everything and be in charge. There's a big difference between wanting to be in control of something. We have control over nothing, but we have influence over everything. What they really, truly want is a sense of control, right, reds? If all the cogs are working together, the reds do not feel like they have to be in charge. If everybody's doing what they say they're supposed to do, if everybody's pulling their weight and following the plan, the cholerics don't feel like they have to step in and take charge. So in a family, if there's a plan and there's, you know, everybody has their chores and what they're supposed to be doing, and a mom or dad comes home, they don't feel like they have to step in and take charge because they have a sense of control in the family. Everybody's pulling their weight and doing what they're expected to do. That's going to love this red better. Right, reds? We like that, right? The next one is appreciation, being valued for their unique strengths. And then credit for work, being valued for their contributions. Now, again, when you're doing your own definitions, a lot of people get confused with some of these, and they'll say, well, appreciation, credit for work, they're the same. Appreciation is inward, credit for work is outward. And in each temperament, there's an inward and an outward definition. So we want to keep that in mind. For the blues, their first one out of the gate, right? Blues is safety. Being able to trust their surroundings and relationships. If we do not feel safe or we do not trust the environment or the person, we are not going close to them. And we're definitely not putting down our, we're kind of reserved and private people. So for us to put down that reserved private persona, we have to feel safe. So for an example, in a friendship, if we're getting to know each other and I feel safe with you, my wall's gonna go down a little bit and I'm gonna invite you in. And if I do that, I am gonna be your most loyal and best friend. I will keep your secrets to my grave. That's what blues do. And if I decide to tell you secrets, that means I am in the relationship. I am deep in because I trust you. So friendships with blues would look like that. The next one for the blue is sensitivity, which means being understood. You don't have to necessarily agree with me. Blues just want to make sure you're matching their feelings and emotions, that you're just not hearing them, but you're truly understanding where they're coming from or what they're saying. Support, being offered or provided help. And the last one would be space and silence, having time to decompress, process, or to think. Now, I can personally relate to this one because I've taught my children space and silence, and when they were little, they knew not to come right up and start asking me questions. I went to my office, I sat down my briefcase, I decompressed, I filed all my information in my brain, and when I came out 5 minutes later, I came out a better mom because my children understood this. They can start understanding very young, actually. Kids get this way quicker than adults. Greens, the greens needs harmony, everybody getting along or everything going smoothly. That means the room can be filled. As long as everybody's getting along, they're good. They're good. It's when people start not getting along, right, greens, that it just starts, right, tense. The next one, worthiness, being valued for their unique strengths. In a work environment, this is crucial because if you have a green teammate, all they want to know is that they're a valuable part of the team. If they happen to miss an event or a meeting and you go back and you go, wow, Joe, we really missed you yesterday. You bring so much value to our team. Hope you're not going to miss next meeting. Your opinions really matter to us. We value them. That is loving this person better. That's showing them value. And again, what did it cost you to love somebody better? Greens, lack of stress. I love this one. This is what I hear all the time. An absence of conflict or combative words. Really, when we first think of stress, we think of environmental stress or circumstantial stress. But again, this is what I hear most in my office, is an absence of conflictive or combative words. And the last one, respect, being asked for their thoughts and opinions. And again, this is an innately quiet person. So part of it is them advocating for themselves, which is what I work with greens on, to speak up and share their great opinions and their ideas. But now that you know this, if you have a green friend or coworker or spouse, ask them, hey, I would really like your input on this. If they have something, they'll tell you. If they don't, they'll be like, I'm okay. Yeah, it's okay. But if they do have something, hopefully now they'll speak up, right? So these definitions, again, it's so important that you understand that I've compiled these over 30 years. Again, of the ones I've heard the most of. But you have your own definition. And how you find out what your definition is, one of the exercises I give is think about a time, for example, for the greens with respect. Think about a time when you felt respected. Or think about a time when you didn't feel respected. And think about how you felt, and then there you find your definition. And that's what you want to share. Again, with yourself first. Am I giving myself respect? But how about your spouse, and then your children, and then your coworkers, okay? You have to know what it is first. And for others to love them better, you must know their innate needs, and if you can, know their definitions. Again, the closer into the circle that you have, there's no reason why I wouldn't know my husband's definitions, or a close friend, or my children. But what this allows is so very important. It allows us the ability to pause, to initiate a pause. Then it allows us to have grace. Then it also allows us to celebrate the differences in other people. So I love to tell this story about a couple years ago. My family went skiing in Colorado, and we were in a hotel, probably about 7 stories up. And so now that you're familiar with the colors a little bit, you know my son is blue, my daughter's yellow, I'm blue, and my husband is green. So he travels, he's a traveling salesperson, and so he's used to being in hotels, but we're up in the hotel room and the fire alarm goes off, okay? Every temperament in crisis and when you're by yourself, your temperament's gonna shoot to the surface, right? So that fire alarm goes off. My son immediately is at the little map. He is planning and strategizing the best way for us to get out of the hotel safely. Avery is changing her clothes. She is putting on an outfit because there might be a cute fireman, there might be cameras, the TV crew might be there, and she wants to be ready. My husband is on the bed with the clicker like this. I go, babe, fire alarm. He's like, I think it's a drill. I go, a drill in a hotel. Okay, I've never heard of it, but I think we should probably go. Don't hear sirens, and I don't smell smoke. And I go, okay, honey, Bryce is in the hallway. Avery's ready now. She's in the hallway. And and I'm like, I'm going. Well, like, we're going. He says, take your phone. I go, why would I take my phone? Text me when you get to the lobby and let me know if it's really a fire. That's a green right there. So when we're communicating with other people, there's this, what I call a gray scale, or what happens is, what you see is when I talk, Brad hears. And when Brad talks, I hear. So what our goal is today is to get rid of this gray area in between. We want to get here, because I said this, you heard that, right? We want to get here so that we know that other people can hear us and that they feel heard and understood. We want to make sure we're speaking the language, we speak out of our own temperament, but that doesn't mean I can't learn the temperament, how another temperament speaks, and get rid of that gray area. We want everybody that we talk to feel heard and understood. So let's go back to Ephesians 4:29 for a minute. Do not let any unwholesome words come out of your mouth, only what's helpful for building others up according to their needs and benefit all who listen. So already today we've hit the word let. We understand that every word that comes out of your mouth is a choice. So I'm asking you to initiate a pause, make sure you're moving from weaknesses to strengths, and you're speaking life words in the temperament that you're talking to, in some of the words and the languages that they can hear. The second thing we want to touch base on, though, is that word unwholesome. Unwholesome, by definition, means detrimental to physical, mental, or moral well-being. That's pretty harsh. It's not helpful. It's not healthy. It means saying something to somebody else without considering their needs. Usually in my office, though, this is unintentional. I don't get a lot of people in my office that are intentionally trying to be unkind. This is just an awareness thing that maybe the words coming out of your temperament, even unintentional, are not landing correctly to the person that you're talking to. So you'll hear things like, I didn't mean it that way. You're taking it wrong. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is we can eliminate that gray area and that misunderstanding, because we are to build them up according to their needs, not our needs. That's where that selfishness comes in. So how do we know when the words that we're saying are unwholesome to another person? Well, again, their temperament tells us. It's anything that works against the innate needs of each temperament is unhelpful or unwholesome. So this is so important. Knowing your temperament is very important. If you know your temperament, and here's the key, and that of your fill in the blank, your spouse, your friend, your child, your coworker, it's going to change every single conversation. Every single conversation. But how? That's what everybody asks me is how do I even do that, right? Well, practice. You're learning another language. If you were learning to become fluent in French, you would have to practice French. So again, in the book, I specifically wrote things that will help you do this. For yourself, there's a whole list in there once you identify your dominant for strength training. A whole list of things to keep you in your strengths. But then for others, I've also put in there an exhaustive list of what's called build up and tear downs. So if you're speaking to a green, I give you a whole list of things that would build them up and a whole list of things that would tear them down. So I would ask you to look at those and to practice those so that we can speak more kindly to the other temperaments. Another key thing in communication, though, is listening. We cannot miss listening. We have to listen to understand. That's when you're going to be able to speak the other languages. Most people sitting in this room listen to respond. And we want to, again, pause for a minute and listen to understand. Listen to the words that the other temperament is using to identify them. Well, people will go, well, how can I do that at work? And how can I do that to a stranger? Well, again, one of my favorite stories to tell happened in the fall of last year on a rainy night when I went grocery shopping. And I'm in the grocery store, and again, I'm blue, so my definition of space is that I have this little circle around me. And I would rather you not in it, unless I invite you in it, right? So I'm that person at the grocery store that has the buggy, and I would rather your buggy not be touching my buggy. And when I'm in the checkout, I'm the one using the little stick 7 inches back past my food because I don't want your food touching my food, right? So I'm in the checkout. I have a responsibility right there as a human being to another human being to say to the checkout girl, how are you? I mean, I could be really and just blow through, but how are you doing? Are you having a good day? This is this exact response. Am I having a good day? It is so good. I am going to be off in like 4 minutes. I got the early shift. I switched with Judy because I was going to work late, but now she's going to work late for me because I'm going to a party in Athens. My sorority sisters are going to be there. I haven't seen them in 2 years. It's going to be so exciting. We're spending the night. We got this hotel room. We're both good. We're going to switch. We're going to have like 8 girls in each room, and but it's covered. And then we're going to go to this party, this band that we saw there when we were in school, but it's going to be just so much fun. People. What is she? Stranger. I have that is my moment of pause right there. Okay? I could go deep blue on this girl because I have a daughter at UGA, and it could look like, do you know it's raining? Do you know how dangerous 129 is in the rain? You know how many accidents have been on that road? You don't look old enough. Do you have a fake ID? Are you using a fake? Are there going to be boys near that hotel room? Anywhere like near the vicinity of that hotel room? Does your mom know? Does she have an emergency number? I mean, I really would just want to I would feel better if she had an emergency number. Right? That's me in my flesh. If I'm not saying it, I'm thinking it, right? But I have a choice at that moment to love this girl better. So I said to her, for you, that sounds fantastic. You are going to have so much fun. How great is it that you've built those relationships that are testing time? That is so great that you're going to be able to go and spend time together with them. Now, I'm not changing who I am in my authenticity. I'm just choosing words that are going to love her better. But you know, when I pushed that card out, I turned and said, be careful. Right? Exclamation point, right? Because now she's not going to dive to the ground when I come in the next time to shop, right? So it's all about accepting our temperaments, accepting the temperaments of the people around you, being aware of what that looks like, applying it, and through that application, becoming authentic. And when you get to that authentic part, all I hear is freedom and liberating. It's beneficial to you and to every person that's around you. And Andy says it like this: Conversations are construction sites. Your words are the building blocks. So what I hope you take from our time together is that you have the opportunity each and every time to speak life-giving words to anybody that's around you. Family, friends, check out people at the grocery store. But in order for you to do that, you have to be aware of your temperament and the language that you naturally speak, as well as the temperaments and the needs of the people that you're communicating with. My goal would be that you're just not talking to each other and not even just communicating, but that every word that comes out of your mouth be a gift to the person that you're speaking to. So our collective goal, I hope, is kind words, first to yourself and then to others. Jenny, you want to come up? I think we're going to do some questions and answers.
Yes, thank you. I've heard this so many times, but it is always so good, and I take something away with it. So now we're gonna get to take some time and do some Q&A. We've captured some questions over the last year or so, and so we wanna take this time to learn a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper. So Kathleen, thanks for letting us ask you some of these.
You're welcome.
All right, so the first question that we wanna target today is, how is this different than or similar to other personality profiles?
And that's always a great question. That's why I always start out with making sure we explain the difference between personality and temperament, because there's a lot of spin-offs of personality assessments out there. So I'm sure people are aware of Myers-Briggs or DISCs. You know, that is a personality assessment, and that's more about you, where we want to know about temperaments, not just to know about us, but to know about other people, right? And how to speak their language.
Sure.
So, for example, the love languages. We hear a lot about the love languages,
Oh,
right?
yes, we sure
so
do.
that's a great example foundationally, because you and I, you as a yellow and myself as a blue, could both be words of affirmation. But what we've learned already today is that the words that we speak to each other would be different. The words I have to hear would be different than the words you have to hear.
Yeah.
So again, it's not just
Well,
about
even
understanding
quality
me.
time.
Oh, quality
Things
time.
that you would want to do as a
Sure.
blue are different than what
Different
I would
than
want to
you.
do as a yellow.
Yeah, so it's, again, it's not so much just knowing about me and how I'm wired in a certain snapshot of time.
Sure.
But it's how I'm innately wired, and then understanding how you're innately wired, possibly different than me, and how can I love you better?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, one of the other questions is should temperament, your personal temperament, play a part in your career choice?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm glad you asked that question, because I actually want to talk about this a little bit, because I do a lot of kids going from high school to college. So I really want to get these key points. I got about 3 of them for each one. Temperaments do play a role in career. And what you usually see is careers going, oh, you would be a good fireman, or you would be a good nurse. I would actually like you to start by crossing off the things that don't match your temperament. You know, first go, oh no, I really do not want to be around a lot of people, or I really do not like tasks, or greens, I don't even like the word work, right? You know, so yellows, you know, you're gonna do best in careers that connect with people, that have motivation, that are inspiring, that are bright and moving, and have open communication. So we're gonna gravitate towards careers that do that. The reds, even if you're not the boss, you would wanna look for some kind of careers that have some type of authority, some place where you can give advice or opinions and improvement and be productive and have reasonable amount of freedom. For the blues, a place where we as blues can test and think our ideas and plans, use the ability to be creative and think outside the box. See, a lot of blues aren't given the freedom to do and be in their creative side, which they're very creative, and to be listened to and have the opportunity to problem solve. So these are the kind of things I say to the young kids. For the green, we look for flexibility. We look for strong support system and space to work. And then we look for personal interest and connections with people.
Those are
So if
good.
you look at those things, then you're kind of more going to gravitate towards careers that fill those and then eventually fill the innate needs.
That's
You
good.
see?
Because we have a lot of people that are here with work teams
Yeah.
and stuff. Where are you guys? Do you have some
work
work
team.
teams and
Yeah.
stuff here?
Okay, good.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
this is going to
Yay.
be really helpful.
Yeah.
For you to be able to debrief afterwards, right? That's going to be
Exactly.
good. Okay. So on that note, can all 4 temperaments be leaders?
Yes, and
Talk
here's
us
the
through
thing.
that.
That's why I said this before, is that Reds don't own leaders just because they're dynamic leaders. They're wired to be dynamic leaders. Actually, Greens are the best leaders of people, where Reds are the best leaders of tasks. But again, within your temperament, you bring something unique as a leader. So for example, Yellows, they bring balance. They bring balance to conflict and problem. They are unmatched in their force of enthusiasm and encouragement. They have a genuine desire for team success, and they have a fun and accepting environment. As a leader, Red, they train, they guide, and encourage. They're not afraid of difficult work. They're a visionary that keeps things moving towards accomplishments. And they lead by example. They lead the way. Again, if this is a good, healthy Red.
Yeah, I was gonna say healthy.
They lead the way.
Right.
The Blues bring depth of thought, their ability to harmonize the interpersonal to become productive. They're extremely loyal leaders. They're detailed and empathetic in understanding those they lead. Then the Greens. Now, the Greens may not work harder, they just might work smarter. These are great leaders. Yeah. They're genuine in their interest of people, each person individually. Where the Sanguine brings to, as a leader, success in teams, the Greens bring success to the individual person. They do as much or more than they ask others to do.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's
So every one
Everyone
of
could
them
be a
can be a
good
good
leader.
leader.
Yeah.
They just bring something different to the core.
so not necessarily just on that note, but I'm sure some of you are wondering, because I've asked her this question before, what combinations bring the most friction?
Okay, and this can be in anything.
Right?
This can be friendships, work, marriage. Are you ready? Are you buckled in?
Yeah.
You want to know? The Reds and the Greens by far have the, yeah, well, I'm sorry. Well, I know, honey, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you're polar opposites. So what happens in
She
a
said, my
marriage-
husband's a red and I'm
yeah,
a green.
she's,
Or you're a red. No,
she's
she's
a red and
the
her
red and he's the
husband's
green.
Well, first of all, we have to understand that opposites attract. So again, when you're dating, you threw all your strengths on the table, right? And that's what happens is you saw the strengths in him and he saw the strengths in you and you fell in love. Well, then you got married. So even in scripture, it says in marriage, there'll be trials. So as we become content, right, guess what starts to rear their head? Your weaknesses. And then all of a sudden we start to change that person to be more like us. So for marriage advice, I say stay in dating mode. That's what I say.
No, you're not saying don't get married. You're just
I'm saying
continue-
get married, but stay dating
Pretend
your
you're
spouse.
dating the whole
Yeah.
time. Just trick
Yeah.
yourself that
Yeah,
you're
there
really
you go.
dating.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You're still trying to
It
impress them.
Yeah,
constantly.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
What about work combinations? Green, red as well?
Same thing.
Dynamic?
And let me tell you a little bit more in depth because I had a feeling this would come up. So we have to understand, it's a basic misunderstanding of each person because they are polar opposite. So if you listen, the Reds go through life quickly. They're nonstop energy. They're focused on a goal that's in the distance somewhere. They will not hesitate to take charge when needed. Sometimes they talk unaware of their tone and they can offend the more sensitive type people. And again, Reds race through the day, maintaining a high speed until they crash in bed, right? Right? But then there's the Green. The Green goes through life much more carefully and steady, with more focus on what they're interested in the moment. They maintain a steady, easygoing speed. They only rev up when absolutely necessary, right? Greens are more focused on people in the process than the end result. So when you go to the depths and you start understanding this to the core, you can see why the misunderstanding can go in. Where the Reds are going, move it. Why isn't he moving it? Why isn't he getting out of bed? Why can't you see that has to be done? While the Greens are going, chill out. Oh my gosh, why are you so intense, right? right?
I see this because one of my sets, the twins, they share a room and one's red, one's green. So we get to see this play out in
And you have
the
one of
room.
the funniest stories, I think, with Riley, where she went to try out for softball or basketball.
Right, yeah.
She walks in and signs her name, and she goes in, and they're running laps. She circles right back around, goes and crosses her name off. And
That's
tells
my green.
Jenny, I'm ready to
She
go.
called me and was like, I don't think this is for me. So I was like, okay. Yeah, that's
I
my
think
green.
that's classic.
And my
I love
red's
that
out there
story.
giving it her hardest. You know?
Yeah.
She's like, well, now there's one less spot I got to worry about. You know, I got to compete with everybody else. So,
That's so
all right. Well, talking to parenting, what would you say to a parent in the audience now who's rethinking or maybe even regretting a conversation that they've had with their child?
Yeah.
I know you and I've talked about this a lot.
Yeah. There's actually two things I want to address. One is that Andy said, I believe you hear things when you're meant to hear things. I think nothing is coincidental. So if you're a parent here and you're thinking, oh my gosh, wish I would have known this, 10 years ago. I think you're hearing this now today because you're supposed to hear it now today. Your eyes and your heart are open to hear it and receive it today. So I never think it's too late to start anything. I think it's when you hear it, that's when you use it. The second part of that is if you've done something and you go, oh my gosh, what could I have done differently? That's exactly what another activity is in the book. You want to stop and pause again and go, first of all, ask your first question is, what part did I play? What part did I play? Because there's only one reason you have conflict, and it's because somebody's not getting their way. And now we know innate needs, and now we know the words we speak, so you can say, what part did I play? And then the second part of that is, what could I have said or done differently? And then you revisit. I'm all about the revisit. Whether it is a child, a spouse, a coworker, it could even be in the moment where you say, gosh, I really don't think you meant what you said to come into me like that. Would you mind saying that differently? I must have misunderstood. See, you can just do that and then revisit.
Okay, so what's one thing that you hope everyone takes away from today?
I would hope and wish that we would take away to understand that people are hardwired with their temperament. So the next time that you are frustrated or irritated by a yellow who's interrupting a meeting to tell you a funny story, or a red that's barking directives at everybody, or a blue who always seems to be pointing out a problem, or a green who sits aloof in a meeting without contributing, that you remember that they are made this way. Again, this is not an excuse, and we never use our temperament as a weapon. But this is an opportunity. You cannot change anyone. You can only work on you. So it gives us the opportunity to pause, to have grace, to not take it personal, to move it from selfishness to servitude, and to speak kind words.
Well, and one of the tools that you gave me personally and professionally was the whole I have a tendency to. And so if there's, a red person that's being really red in their weaknesses, is get them offline separately and say, hey, you have a tendency to be pretty direct.
Yeah.
Or I can then own, hey, I have a tendency to talk too much. And I'm so sorry, I just talk too much.
You have a
in that whole
tendency to
meeting."
sit too close to me on stage.
Yes,
so
I do.
We had to do the arm check before they put her tape on her chair.
Because I touch her, like when I'm like thinking and talking, and she's like, don't touch me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But then one time we both had waters up here, and it was my water, and she drank it, and I was like, you just drank my water. And she was like, oh my God. It was hysterical. I loved it. I thought it was so great. Okay, so what tools do we have to help people learn more about the temperament frameworks and conversations? So this is it. This is the tool.
There it is.
So basically, Kathleen doesn't have time to meet with everybody, and so the resource team here developed this 6-week study. But this isn't just a sales pitch at all.
Yeah, no.
We really want you to have all of this information, and so you can download all of the videos for free. It's all on the website, so you don't have to have the book to do it, although I think the book is awesome, and it's been helpful, and I bought one for my girls, and we ripped out pages.
And it has all that information.
And it has a
about
ton
the
of information,
strength
but you will
training.
learn a lot, and you can go and watch all 6 sessions of her literally coaching through this for free, and you can download the app. So.
And what I would really like each and every one of you to know about how fabulous they did the videos is that, each of the people in the video, they're not actors. We purposely picked people who were very high in their dominant temperament to represent the temperament because it was very important to me that you saw organically how the temperament would respond and the words that they would use. And so this whole thing and all the videos is completely unscripted. So I would hope that you would connect and then use the activities in the book so that we can all be ripples and work together getting the message of kind words out.
That's right. And there is that assessment that Catherine
Yes,
created
there's an
that gives you your dominant and secondary
That's
that you
right,
can
it's
take in
in
the
the
book
book as well.
too. So that's awesome.
you.
All right. So thank you. Would you
You're
guys
welcome.
join me and thank
Thank
Kathleen
you.
for being with us?
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.